You can do.
Welcome back to the Higher to Inspire and Torah Info podcast. We are here with a brand new guest, Rabbi Shlomo Landau.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, Rabbi.
Thank you for having me on.
No problem.
Alrighty.
We want to open up the floor to Rabbi. If Rabbi could give us some of his background. Rabbi told me in person, actually, we met up in Muncie. That Rabbi was a 20 plus year Rebbe for girls and for boys. So if Rebbe could give us the background of how Rebbe became that, I would appreciate it.
Sure. So again, thank you so much for having me on. It's
No
just fun
problem.
to be a part of this. So probably in the year 2000, I was living in Eretz Israel till the year 2000. Lived in Israel about 5 years after I got married. And I lived in Cairo. I got smicha. Did a lot of great stuff, Baruch Hashem. And then came back to the United States and I started working in Kirov, an outreach in a community called East Brunswick, New Jersey. It's not far from Rutgers University. And while I was there, I was really teaching within the community, teaching Torah to many of the people that were there, the families, and doing events and all kinds of great stuff. At the same time, a very dear Rav of mine made me aware of the fact that there was a modern Orthodox high school in the area, and potentially they were looking to hire someone after Sukkot. That school is called Moshe Aaron Yeshiva High School, or lovingly called Maze. It's no longer around. The school closed down since then, but I did teach in that school, and I really loved it. I didn't know that much about teaching. I was a young guy in my 20s, but I came in with a burning passion to make a difference, and more importantly, to show my Talmidim that they mattered and they were valued, and that I had something amazing to share with them, which was Torah and mitzvahs. And it was amazing. It was wonderful. I'm still in touch with many of my students from that period of time. And then when the school eventually shuttered, I was a free agent, if you want to call it that. Shiva Flatbush offered me a job, and I didn't want to take that job because I didn't want to go on the Staten Island Turnpike. Staten Island Expressway. It's funny, it's called Expressway. It's not really express. And then Kushner came out. They offered me a job, and I took a job at Kushner, and that was a beautiful period of my life. Wish I could still be there. But Baruch Hashem, I live in Lakewood now. The commute's just too much. I have a full-time job, but I do teach a little bit in a school called Mayan, teaching them a Sifta as well. So still trying to teach as much as I can.
Oh, sure. Very good to hear.
Yep.
So,
Introduce yourself. He doesn't know you.
yeah, Rabbi. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Yaakov Rubenov. I'm me and Daniel. Baruch Hashem started Torah Info in sixth grade.
Oh, wow.
Baruch Hashem. Yeah.
It's
Very good to
incredible.
meet Rabbi also.
So it's close. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Rabbi, for coming on. I think for Rabbi's time and joining us. So
Sure.
I think we could start with the first question. Yeah. So for the first question for Rabbi, we want to ask, um, Bez Shem soon, Tisha B'Av is coming out. And we wanted to know what's the first thing a Ben Torah should do? We didn't learn Torah the whole day. Not really. All we hear is really well. Musar, there's some people read the Hillim, or myself is Gittin. But real Torah, Melus. So I wanted to know that, Shabbat or Ben Torah, right? Jump onto the meal or something, but should learn at Halacha Yami or Mishnah Yami, or how should we, what mood should we be in?
You're talking about on Tisha B'Av, like when we didn't have our
Good
Learn
night,
Torah
Bez
meeting?
Shem. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wait, saying once the fast is over? Is that your question?
Right.
I'll tell you guys something absolutely fascinating. I have a very near and dear Chaver. His name is Rabbi Tzion Klatsko, very special person. And Rabbi Klatsko shared with me last week. We were sitting together at a Siyum actually, and Rabbi Klatsko shared with me something unbelievable. He told me that about a few weeks ago, he likes buying stuff from auctions. Like he likes buying antiques and you know
Yeah.
historical items of historical value. And told that a few weeks ago. So he's on his computer and he's on an auction. He's trying to buy something. His wife comes in. She goes to Ben, seeing what are you buying now? And he goes, it's not so important, whatever. And he says, give me a second. I think I got it. He goes, oh, Baruch Hashem, I got it. His wife says, what'd you buy this time? He's like, it's not important, whatever. Let me tell you what he bought because it's really incredible. He bought a hair clipper set, the old fashioned kinds. The kind was like this thing that you squeeze it together and it cuts your hair, instead of the motor that we have on it now.
Yeah.
And he bought one from Auschwitz that was used to clip the hairs of the prisoners in Auschwitz.
Wow.
And he said to me that the reason I said, why'd you buy that? That's a strange thing to have. And he says, because what happens when Tisha B'Av is over? He says, by Chatzai Sayom on the 10th day of Av, so then everything is over. You could listen to music, and you could eat meat, and you could drink wine, you could cut your hair, you could take a shower, you could do laundry, all the different things you couldn't do until that point. And most people just like jump into the fact that Avelis is over, Baruch Hashem. It's kind of like people who are Rahman al have to say Shiva, and then the second Shiva is over, like, yeah, it's over, awesome. So he says, you know what? When I take my first snip of my beard or my hair, or whatever it is, I want to use that actual clipper, the clipper that was used in Auschwitz, as if to say, I know that maybe Avelis is over, and I can't live my life this whole way, but I'm not willing to let go so easily. And listen, that's a high level, and it's not a push of the situation, and most of us don't have that. But imagine if you waited another 10 minutes before you turned on your favorite music or Fishy Swishy or whatever people are listening to these days and stuff like that. And whatever you're going to do, and imagine before you ate your first schnitzel sandwich, or you jumped into the shower, you took 5 or 10 minutes, and I don't know, you don't even have to do anything crazy in those. You don't have to like sing sad songs, just 5 or 10 minutes to push it off, to say, I understand halacha says that we have to get back to regular life, and a Jew has to be happy all the time. But Lamaisa, I don't want to let go that quickly. So here, let it linger or drop more, and then I'll go back to life as usual. So, not to run away from it. I know when I was a kid in some of the camps, they would have like a countdown, like the whole camp would get together, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, boom, and the music would go on, everyone would jump, and there would be like a major mosh pit in camp. Okay, I don't listen. Camp, you need simcha, but maybe we could push it off a drop. I'm not for halachic reason. Just like we don't got to jump into it the first second that
Which is
over.
it's like it ruins the whole atmosphere.
Yeah, just
the whole
like
inspiration.
You're waiting for it to be over, and boom, it's over. So.
Right. Fine. Thank you for such a murder answer. Then.
So, Rabbi, I wanted to ask you this question in Muncie.
Okay.
Didn't work out for a reason.
Your mic is much clearer than Yaakov Tzion's.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
maybe just have a clearer voice than him. I don't know. Okay, go ahead.
How did Rebbe told me that he didn't start Vayiman, but how did Rebbe get involved?
So that's a really good question. Let me just say, for those people who are not exactly sure what Vayiman is, it's a daily chizik video that helps people with Shmir Sainaim. It's for anyone really, and it helps a person kind of get their where they look and what they where their focus is in check, with a daily, very beautiful, very well done professional video, which is really a tremendous amount of chizik. I know countless people told me it's the
got
first
a video today, Rebbe.
Yeah, they did, correct. And every morning, a lot of people start off their day with that, and it kind of gives them a boost, so that whatever gets thrown their way, they could be strong and be in control of themselves. So I did not start it. Actually, it was started by a young guy in his 20s who, instead of taking some money that he made, with his job and his business, and buying some fancy car, or maybe setting up a cigar lounge in his house or a wine cellar, he decided he wants to do something more special, and he started this initiative with Nishmes's grandfather, and he started this daily video. It started probably 2+ years ago, and I was not involved at all. It was started by a few great tzaddikim, and at some point, the guy who started, his name is Isaac, he calls me up and he says to me, Landau, I like your stuff, I like your videos. Could you potentially come on board and do some videos for us? I said, okay, let me hear a little bit more about it. If I feel I have something valuable to add, I'm sure that I'm happy to do it. So I showed up in the basement of a shul one month to Shabbos. It was raining, actually. And he had a camera set up, and he had some lighting, almost as professional as you guys, not as professional, almost as professional. And I recorded then 5 or 6 videos of different short things that I thought could be inspirational for people who are dealing with Shmir Sinai, for myself personally as well. And he was like, whoa, you did that? And you just did each one once. You didn't got to do it 5 or 6 times. I talked about what was on my neshama. And he liked what I had, so he put it out pretty quickly. And from that point on, we became very close friends. He's a very special person. In Lakewood, there's a big tzaddik. His name is Rabbi Grama, and he teaches a lot of Jewish people about the Emunah and Bitachon. And he said that he would be happy to trade his Olam Haba with this guy Isaac's Olam Haba, because of the impact that he's had. So since that point, I've kind of been pretty friendly with him, and there were a few opportunities where they needed a face of the organization, because whether it was a podcast that was a headlines podcast about Shmir Sinai that they wanted someone to run, so I ran that, or a podcast with the Yaakov Langer. They wanted a face, and his Rav didn't feel that guys his age or his stage maybe is the right person to be the face of the organization. So he asked me if I could step on board, and I could do those interviews. So I've done a bunch of things with him since that point. I've been part of some other interviews. So that's really my kasher. But I've infinite hakar satay for him, for the schus of being able to disseminate some chizuk, and B, for the impact it's had on my own life.
Wow.
Rabbi, thank you.
Sure.
That's a crazy story.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'll tell
Okay.
you that. I'll tell you guys something interesting.
Rabbi knows that.
What were you going to say?
Oh no, Rabbi knows that I'm doing the social media program, right?
Yeah, of course I
So
know, but that's amazing if a person could
yeah, but
somehow get that in check, over
yeah,
the summer and then come into Elul in control of themselves. Well, then they're probably light years ahead of where they were in the beginning of the summer. So that's very
yeah.
chashuv. It's very special.
According to Rabbi, do you think it's proper for me to run it?
Oh, you're asking a very good question. I don't know you well enough, and I'm sure you're not on social media, although on some level, I
No.
guess you are for doing this. It's always a toss. It's like I have this own personal toss up in my life where I try to create content and make chizuk, do all kinds of chizuk videos all the time. I try to put out one short video every single day, and it is on social media platforms. It's on Meaningful Minute, and it's on LinkedIn, and sometimes some other things. It makes its way around the world, and it's a little bit of a tug of war inside of me. On one hand, I know the impact is so much greater, and we could do so much with it if it's in a broader world. But personally, like it's not good for me to be on it. And I'll tell you the truth. Like two people approached me in the last few weeks and said to me that if I work on my brand, I could be 10 times as big. And I was like, what's my brand? I don't have a brand. I'm just trying to teach and inspire. And I'm trying to do what the right thing is. And I'm not looking to get any further involved. So I don't know. I'm a little older than you. You could be my child, So my child asked me if they should be doing this. I don't know. But I'm
Yeah,
sure you asked your rabbis or you asked whoever the people give you your das Torah, and you're doing this because they think it's the right thing. But yeah, it's a double-edged sword. You got to be really careful
yeah,
because it could take you. Also, I want to point out something which is very, very important, and especially for two guys who are just getting into this. Like, you need to understand something that just because something that you do has a lot of views or a lot of people watched it, nothing changed in you. You could have a video that goes out and gives 1 million people chizuk, but nothing changed in you. And the Yetzer Hara has like this way of saying, "Oh my gosh, you're changing Klai, so you're at tzaddik, you're amazing. You don't got to work on yourself because look what you're doing." It's not true. Absolutely nothing changed in you, whether you put out a video that 1 million people saw or one person saw. So you have to be honest with yourself that, like, yeah, it's nice, and yeah, it's chashuv that it's a supposed to be able to teach a lot of people or to learn with a lot of people, but at the same time, it doesn't exempt you from growing and becoming a better person yourself. And the moment that you start using that as a replacement, you got to run for the hills.
well,
I didn't mean to give you guys much. I'm just telling you
no, that's
from
good. No,
experience of one year of what I feel.
really, one person came over to me before Shabbos, or I think on Shabbos, and he was like, "We're having the famous Jewish brown guy over. It's crazy." I'm like, and now you're telling me this. Oh yeah, you're not a Jewish brand, this and that.
Yeah.
So, but why do people call Rabbi that?
What do they call me? What? I didn't even understand what
They,
you said.
Jewish brand.
call it like the Jewish brand of like Nike or something like that.
And mamish have no clue. I think maybe it's because I'll just tell you like what my mahalach has been. It's like to try to be consistent,
Yeah,
and I personally try every single day, and I'm not always matzliach, but to try to put out one little tiny thing, and it's a story, it's a vart, it's something that moved me personally, a hashgacha pratis moment, an insight in davening, and if you're consistent, to meet them kisidron, every single day you try to put something out, and I guess it's somewhat decent quality because I guess people for some reason like it. Then eventually you end up getting followers, and people want to listen, and then this chus is compounded where more and more people can hear. And I can't begin to tell you how many times people reach out to me in all different ways of communication to say, you know what, that video that you shared today, it's exactly what the doctor ordered. I needed to hear that. I was in such a bad spot, and what you told me gave me chizuk to make it through the day or to be Amar ben Isayin. So it's siyata d'shmaya. I daven that Hashem should keep giving me the opportunity, and more importantly, the content to share. Because I don't know, I'm almost at 1,000 daily videos, and like I don't think I ever
mm,
repeated myself yet. And somehow Hashem throws something to me every single day, almost every single day, that I could share further. So it's the total siyata d'shmaya,
Wow.
and I'm a regular person like everybody else. No different. Maybe I struggle more than other people. So no one should get the impression, wow, sometimes you see a basketball player and he's so good at basketball, he's some all-star guy, and like, wow, that guy's amazing. He's not amazing. He just is really good at basketball. That's it.
yeah,
Yeah, Rabbi.
yeah.
So I think we could ask the Shiloh. everything that Rabbi just said, right? Being common and being constant and all that. How can we apply that to ourselves in a spiritual way? How can we try our best to be consistent in a certain thing that we want to take upon ourselves, or especially after Tisha B'av, we all think, how can we be constant? Because we know a person says, you know what, I'm gonna wake up for nights, or I'm gonna become overnight. I'm gonna just learn some masechta, or try to under a month. And a person thinks he's making the kabbalah of all these things, but the Yisrael says, oh, okay, fine. You know, for a few days he'll go stark. But afterwards, the person starts escalating back, and okay, fine, let's go with this thing and that thing, and then his whole thing that he wants to be mekabel, this whole nice bubble just pops after 2 weeks. So how can we mechalik ourselves and try to keep that consistency inside of us?
That's probably one of the most powerful questions that a person needs to ask themselves. So before you even start doing anything, I think the first thing you need to understand is that Rabbi Leib Shteiman used to say that you should take a Kabbalah on yourself for Yom Kippur, and then whatever Kabbalah is, it to be small. And then once you take it, you figure out what the Kabbalah is, you should slice it in half. So like you said before, a guy says, I want to finish a Masechta in a month. First of all, that's unrealistic. So you're setting yourself up for failure. Maybe Masechta's Tamid. But even that, it's not easy Masechta. You have to be realistic. What's real? And whatever you accept upon yourself, you should cut it in half. So let's say you figure out you want to finish Maseches Makkos over the next 6 months. Okay, that's realistic. Give yourself 12 months. That's number one. Number two, you need to do it in bite-sized pieces. So I'm going to try to learn every single day 10 lines of Gemara, and of course I'm going to chazer the 10 lines I did yesterday. If you don't chazer, then it's pointless. It's just the Yitzhar anyways. Right. That's the beauty of, for example, Oraisa, which is this initiative which many people do, where you learn an Amid, and an Amid is very doable, especially if you're an adult and you know how to learn a little bit. And then you chazer it the next day, so that actually you're retaining it. And you chazer it again on Shabbos. You don't even learn new on Shabbos. And over the weekend, you chazer what you did during that week. So it's small and it's digestible. So that's really important. So A, you have to focus on the Kabbalah. It can't be too large. And B, you have to figure out a plan. So this is what I'm planning on doing every single day. In addition to that, it's really important to understand that the way of the Yetzer is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu always gives us a spark of inspiration, a flash of strength, of understanding when we start any Kabbalah, because it's hard for human beings to change. So we get Siyata D'Shmaya initially. But that's not really us. That means, let's say your first week of not being on social media, that's Siyata D'Shmaya. Okay, it took you the strength to make that decision, and that's where you really get a lot of credit. But once that comes, Hashem gives you Siyata D'Shmaya, gives you a burst of energy, of adrenaline, spiritual adrenaline to be able to pull through that. But then HaKadosh Baruch Hu is like, okay, let me see if this is really something that you can make yours. And he pedals back. And he takes away the Siyata D'Shmaya, and that's where it becomes really difficult and challenging. And that's where the real growth and ownership happens. And if you have that mindset every day, when it comes to that Kabbalah, you're like, I know it's going to be hard today. I know the Yetzer is trying to pull me away from it, but I'm going to pull through, and I'll grit myself, I'll grit my teeth, and I'll make sure that I'm able to do it come what may. Then eventually it becomes much easier, and it becomes part of your daily routine. And that's where real growth happens. And it's many opportunities like this, and one after the next, not through Lent. You finish one Kabbalah, you start the next one. But again, small, understanding of the perspective that it
so starting small.
You have to start small, and you have to also know that at some point it's going to get really challenging, because that's just derech. That's the way life is. That's how Hashem set up the bria.
And things that you could do.
Yeah, and if you know that in advance, right, it becomes much easier for a person to do it. To be successful and to be matzliach in the long run. I'll tell you just another interesting thing, which is that two more pieces of advice that help when it comes to Kabbalah. One is, if you don't do it alone, it means you get two guys who commit to do exactly the same thing, and they check each other each day. So let's say, I know, for example, when it comes to tefillin, people are struggling with tefillin, you get two guys and they both send each other a picture every morning of them putting on tefillin. So then it's a mechai of you because the other guy is doing it. So that's definitely something that works, strong. And number two is, and we all like doing things, Chanel, that's the Kabbalah process, to motivate yourself. If I'm 2 weeks in and I struck to my Kabbalah, I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy myself, I don't know, ice cream, super lapa mappuccino, whatever. I don't know what they have in Queens. Or if I do something really strong, I'm going to get myself
anyway.
I wanted to get some kind of music. I want them, download music. They cost a little bit of money. I'm gonna spend $5 on myself, or whatever it is. Sometimes, I'm an ask the Kabbalah press by motivating yourself, by offering yourself incentives. That sometimes is a motivator as well. So I think each person has to know themselves. But like you said, not too much, slowly but surely, and to understand that it's not always smooth sailing. Life has peaks and life has valleys.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Rabbi,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
Tisha B'Av is almost coming to an end.
yeah. It's hard to believe.
Yeah, we still didn't get the Beis Hamikdash back.
That's right.
But
Amen.
um, what's one thing that Rabbi can give to everybody to take away before Tisha B'Av ends?
So, I Baruch Hashem had this chus yesterday and today to do like the kinnis for Morty Stiebel here in Lakewood, which is like a really chashuv place where a lot of people come and a lot of holy Jews from all different walks and backgrounds come. And it's kind of like kibbutz galios or Mashiach. It's every kind of Jew, and everyone just v'yasochulam aguda achas. You know, I said a lot. I said a lot of different things. One of the things I said is that you can't go by Tisha B'av without having a moment of emotion. You can't go by Tisha B'av without feeling some moment of connection. So the sun is setting. It's within 2 hours it'll be Shkia and Tisha B'av will be over very soon actually. But if you haven't had that moment where you felt something, do something about it. I don't know. Sit down on the kinnis with the arts grow. Go online and listen to someone's share. Do something. Put in some effort so that you don't go by the 24 hours of Tisha B'av and just
I
get
feel
so
the
busy
time.
and just yeah, but get busy and distracted by the fasting and preparing for what you're going to eat after the fast is over, but you didn't actually do anything. And if a
You
person
walked
can't
away
feel,
empty-handed.
yeah, it's such a shame. And if a person can't feel the actual korban habayis because it's just too far removed from them, well, go out and look at the picture of the Nebuch, those hostages that was just released last week, and it's mamish so scary to see that and understand that there is korban. That Echa Yashva Bada, the way we start off is that how is it possible that we're so alone? Think about those guys that are so alone, or think about the wives of the Chayalim, the soldiers in Eretz Yisrael, or their
Yeah.
parents. There's so many ways we could connect Tsar to pain, and we have to understand that all comes from the fact that we don't have a Beis Hamikdash. And a whole year long, we try to stay positive and upbeat. It's how a Jew is. We have bitachon, we have trust, and Rabbi Nachman said, "Mitzvah Gedei Aliyas B'Simcha." That's probably the only Rabbi Nachman quote you'll get from me. But the bottom line is, a
And
person's supposed to,
Yishba'alam.
right, in
That's what it
Yerushalayim.
says.
That's right. But at the same time, to understand that there is one day a year that we do focus on loss, and we do focus on pain, and we do focus on personal loss, on the loss of Klal Yisrael and Tzara Shechina as well. So if you didn't have that moment yet, like figure it out. I mean, you can't let Tisha B'av go by without a moment of genuine connection. It's not okay.
Yeah. As a Rebbe for 20 plus years,
Mm-hmm.
what's one advice Rebbe gives to his Talmud?
So I wish that my Talmud would always come to me and say, "Hey, Rebbe, can you give me a piece of advice?" Like, I don't know about you. I had never do that to my Rebbeim. Um, I would say, if I had to tell my Talmud, and my Talmud is graduating high school and is going off to Israel, they're going to yeshiva, they're going to seminary, I would say,
That's true.
keep in touch. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
You need a Rebbe. I don't have to be your Rebbe, but let somebody in Israel become your Rebbe. And once
But
you
as
leave
a
Israel,
Rebbe, let's say as being a Rebbe,
The Rabbi
what
want
advice would Rebbe
to
give to
um,
a boy, anything?
I think that you need to have something built into your daily calendar every single day that helps you grow in your Yiddishkeit. It could be something that you're working on tefillah, and every day you focus on that. It could be on limud Torah, it could be on beinatam l'chavere, but a day that you didn't grow, a day that you didn't get just a drop better is a wasted day. And part of the Yetzer Hara's Eitzah is that he gets you so busy with life, and especially as you start your life and you get a job, or you join a program of learning or whatever it is, and life is just so crazy and it's so busy. He gets you so busy that you don't grow. And if you don't grow, you're dying every day that you don't go up, you're falling down. So to try to build into your schedule, whatever it is, even if it's 5 minutes of growth, 5 minutes of chizuk, 5 minutes of strength every single day. This way you remain connected, and whatever inspiration you get in your life continues to flow. I mean, it's like, you tell this to kids who are like, I don't know how old you guys are, high school kids, and I tell this to you, and you're like, what do you mean? Whatever, I've got my whole life in front of me. But life becomes very busy very quickly. And if a person doesn't have a real plan, then they're just going to tread water like so many people. And that's such a baltashkas of life, because you can really grow and you can become very chashuv and very special, but it takes effort.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
You have any other question?
I think one you said that I learned, especially Orch Tzadikim or any other Muslim sefer, the concept of Shavuos Hashem is the summit. that Hashem is always there. And we know that's one way for a person to always realize that Hashem is always by his shoulder. When you're Shemaim, it stops a person from Avera, or always feels that he's with Hashem, he's protected, and there's hope. So how can a person still really that concept in him? That Hashem is always there.
Again, it's like everything in life. You can't be high all the time. It's impossible to I shouldn't say that. That should be Hashem Lenegdi Sana, but I think we have to be realistic with ourselves that most of us are not a madrega where we constantly think about Hashem, because if we are, we probably are obsessive compulsive disorder. It's just very hard to be super hyper focused on one thing, and it takes a gadol b'Yisrael to be like that. But at the same time, like I was saying before until this point, that like it doesn't mean to say that because of that you throw out the baby with the bathwater, and you need to build in your life moments of Shavisi Hashem Lenegdi Sana. So
Right.
just to give the most classic one, which when I started doing it, it was a total game changer. And I'll be honest, I didn't start doing it until I was well into my adulthood. Is that before I start Shemoneh Esrei, I take 10 seconds and I think to myself, I'm about to stand in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's the Melech Malchei Amlachim. He can do anything, and he wants to do everything. And now I could start my Shemoneh Esrei. So that's 5 seconds, but it's 5 seconds of trying to bring Hashem into your life. Or like one of my chaverim, who's a huge tzaddik, he's not a regular guy, so I don't know if everyone should try this at home, but he sets an alarm on his phone a few times a day, just to like don't forget that you're not running life, that Hashem is running the world, and all the efforts that you're putting in can only have siyat d'shmaya if Hashem does that. That's what he does, but I'm not so holy like him. I don't do it, but I try by tefillah at least before Shemoneh Esrei to do that, and periodically throughout the day as well. It's hard to be like I said, to be high all the time, but like a bracha is an opportunity to connect to Hashem. So before you eat something, after you eat something, go to the bathroom, opportunity to connect to Hashem. While davening, learning, hakaras hatayid, there's an infinite amount of times, but it's hard to constantly be doing it. But to build into your schedule real moments, where those moments become part of who you are, that's how you grow. That's how you develop, Shavisi Hashem Lenegdi Summit muscle, if you want to call it that.
And even think of Rosh Hashanah, and I mean, Rabbi said that, like Rabbi said that before, so 10 seconds before the Mechaber and say that you said Baruch Hu. Even then, for a person to say that and Mamash being Mechaber, that then it required a lot of emunah and betochen in Hashem.
Well, everyone says this. Rav Nachman says this also. So do all the Balei HaMusar, that if you don't believe in tefillah, it doesn't work. So you want to make sure that if you're davening, and so many people daven all the time and just never think about it, but you're davening 3 times a day, and you're talking to Melech Malchei Amlachim, you got to believe it works. How do you believe it works? It's only if you really have emunah b'tachon in the koach of tefillah or the koach of Hashem. So yeah, that's a big part of it as well. It's a good way to kind of focus yourself and say, yeah, I'm standing in front of the Melech Malchim, and what I'm about to do works. And I challenge everybody to start opening your eyes and open your ears and open your heart, and you'll see that Hashem is answering your tefillas. You just gotta figure it out. People always focus on what they don't have. They don't focus on what they do have. If they focus on what they do have, they see that their Rebbeinu Shalom is constantly giving them amazing things, and that He's constantly answering their tefillas.
Right. And some of this could get even answered in 5 years or 10 years, in a long time. And when people, I think they hear that, they get miyash. Like, look, I'm not waiting that long for it to get something, and they could get miyash like that.
It's definitely true. But and sometimes Hashem, you ask Hashem for something, and He does answer you, but He says no, because
Right.
it's not the right thing for you. It's complex. But I think it's amazing if you look at the Teichacha and B'chol Kaisa, and we just actually mentioned the whole Teichacha in the Kinnis that we read today. People, there's a lot of things that could go wrong in your life, right? The Teichacha has just a few psukim of the positives and 70 psukim of all the negatives. There's a lot of things that could go wrong. And most people focus on the negatives, and this negatives is overwhelming. There's so many things that are not exactly the way that I want them to be, and very few people focus on the bracha, on the positive. You don't need a lot of things to be really happy. So for a person to take time and understand that all those constant goods in my life, those are all there also because of my tefillah. So yeah, maybe I have to wait 3 years to get that shidduch, or to get that job, or to get that level of understanding and learning, or that self-control, or whatever it is. But that's okay, because I'm not supposed to get it now, and I'm supposed to get it when I get it. But look what I'm getting now. Every single day, I'm getting tons of amazing things in my life, and this way you live your life blessed as opposed to stressed, right?
The problem is, Rabbi, everyone thinks that if Hashem says no, that means it's not an answer. Right. It is really an answer.
I'll tell you guys something really interesting. When I was like in sixth grade, my Rebbe said that if you daven for something hard enough, he's going to give it. Hashem will give it to you. You just have to keep davening. You have to be insistent, and Hashem will answer you. So I wanted a go-kart. I don't even know if you guys know what a go-kart. This is before like the go-karts that you can get nowadays. But like I wanted a go-kart real bad. It was like an electric. It was like a gas one. People didn't have go-karts, but I really wanted it. So for 6 weeks I davened to Hashem for a go-kart, and I didn't get one. And one day I was so frustrated with my Rebbe that, like in middle class, I said to my Rebbe, and this is not appropriate, but I said, Rebbe, you lied. Wow. And to his credit, he didn't, yeah, total disrespect. And to his credit, he didn't throw me out of my head and goes, well, what do you mean? When did I lie? What did I say? I said, you said that if a guy davens long and hard and he has all these, Hashem is consistent, Hashem's going to answer him. I've been davening for 6 weeks for a go-kart, and Hashem didn't answer. And my Rebbe said to me, he did answer you. He said, no. I said, that's a cop-out. He goes, not true. Wow. Think about it. He said, think about it for a moment. And imagine that you had that go-kart. What would have happened within the first 24 hours? You would have killed yourself or somebody else. So Hashem is like, I'd rather this guy not kill someone. I'd rather him not kill himself. I'm not going to give it to him. It's not the right thing for him at this stage and at this age. And he was right. Not for a kid in sixth grade. It was hard for me to understand that. Wow. But as we mature in life, we realize, we understand that sometimes Hashem says no, because it's not the right thing for us. Maybe now it's not the right thing, or maybe in general it's not the right thing for us.
He's better in store for us.
That's right. Maybe Hashem wants to give me something way better than a go-kart or whatever it is. But it's complex, and our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, just like every relationship, is complex, and it has its ups and it has its downs. But there's more ups than downs.
Thank you, Rabbi, for such smart questions.
It was a pleasure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good. I think that's a wrap.
Okay. Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi, so much
for having me. I'm happy I was finally able to do this, and you guys should keep changing the world one neshama at a time, and that neshama should be yours.
Amen. What a bracha.
Those have